there are diets designed to control high blood pressure, which are the calories as well. And most of these diets basically are decreasing consumption of fatty food and sugars. That's the general, decreasing the fatty food. You've heard of the sugar tax, isn't it? In this country, sugar tax. But sometimes the sugar in something is moved on to something else to dodge that. Increasing your intake of, good one is increasing your intake of lean protein. Lean protein is lean meat. And increasing that intake. Fibers, having more fibers, having more fruits and more vegetables. We know fruits and vegetables, sometimes they can be more expensive, isn't it? And that's also a deterrent. But try and do what you can to have more of those. A weight loss of just 10 pounds can make a difference in your blood pressure. I don't know how many kilos is that. Hypertension and alcohol, I mentioned it. Sometimes I'll mention my own view of that. Drinking too much alcohol is a risk factor for high blood pressure. But as a Christian, I'll say that it's a no-go. Don't even touch it.
Timothy's friends.
Don't even touch it. Don't even touch it, because it says wine is a mocker and strong drink is raging. Whoever is deceived thereby is not wise. That's not me saying it, so it's not an insult. That's Proverbs. You go and see Mr. Proverbs. So I'm just quoting. So all that's like that portion. I've put the last line is the best on that. It says what? Best is abstain from alcohol. That's the best. But if for some reason one is already in 8, then one has to detox to reduce it, because we are not perfect. Some may be in the church, even may be having a little thought here and there. So if you are so addicted to it, pray. There's nothing too hard for the Lord, and gradually reduce it.
The red one with a meal.
Well, so that one we'll discuss it in chambers. Hypertension and caffeine. Caffeine we'll find can bring on the heat, but there is no evidence that it can cause long-term hypertension. However, especially for those not accustomed to caffeine, a caffeinated beverage might bring on a temporary rise in blood pressure. So here is also the individual knowing some people drink coffee, it doesn't do anything to them, but know how you are. When I take coffee now, my brother was asking me, if you tea or coffee, I make it's tea, because it's not either or for me. If I take coffee now, it will just show, I'll just get strong headache. My blood pressure will go up. So know how your body responds to these things. Hypertension and pregnancy. We know women, and we call it gestational hypertension, is high blood pressure that develops in pregnancy. And if it's not properly managed, it may develop into what we call preeclampsia. This is elevated blood pressure that causes the kidney to be affected, and it can affect the baby if that blood pressure is not controlled. But, well, in this country, antenatal clinic, is there. So, but we need to have that in mind. Once the baby is born, the blood pressure usually returns to normal. In that one. Medication, hypertension and medicine. There are certain medications that contain ingredients that can increase our blood pressure. Cold and flu medications that contain decongestants are one example of drugs that raise blood pressure. So some contain things like ephedrine or some other they've added to it to decongest the nose. So be careful over-the-counter medications. Other kinds can also raise blood pressure, which are steroids. Steroids, people use it to build their muscle and to, that those can also raise the blood pressure. And for various diet pills, various kinds of diet pills, birth control pills, some of them, NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It's a long way, but they are just painkillers. like brufen, naproxen, ibuprofen. Cocodamol is not in that group. But brufen, we know that naproxen, paracetamol is not.
Okay.
And that
so what's the difference?
Well, the difference is that these ones they act on the kidney. They have side effects which affect the kidney. So they're non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So you can ask if you are not sure. You just ask, is this an NSAID, NSAID? And then the pharmacist can tell you that. And some antidepressants, but those are not there. And talk to your doctor about medication supplements. If you are taking some other medication which is not prescribed, try to find out from those who know about it before you continue taking it. There's white coat hypertension. We know what it is. You go to the doctors, and as soon as you enter, they put the thing around check your blood pressure, it goes up. Just by being, these days the doctors don't wear white coat, but in those days, just being in the clinic, they say go for a checkup. And you are wondering, will I be alright? So in that situation, whilst you're in the doctor's office, you see the things like instrument, this one is here, this one, then you start wondering, oh, I have this, I have that, and you see posters at the GP surgery, different conditions. 10 conditions, you think you have each of them. Because some of them look like the way you feel. Then you start thinking, oh, I have this, I have that. So before you enter the doctor's office, you have already carried those 10. And you are thinking of it. So when you put it around, your thought will affect your blood pressure. So it will go up. So this may lead to anxiety or nervousness. So that will affect your blood pressure. So for accurate readings, take your blood pressure if you have at home. You take it at home at different times and share these measurements with your doctor. And if to determine if they are accurate, if you are getting your blood pressure, you are checking it at home too, you can bring the monitor to the doctor's office. Maybe the method we are using is not. Because some of the cuffs, if they are too small and your arm is thick, it will give a false reading. Alright? Home blood pressure monitoring. For those who have the streak, the blood pressure is, you can check on, the various Amazon or other listing. It's not too expensive. There are various types. You ask them, you'll be told which one is, if you have it, it's good. It's a good investment. I'm not promoting it, but I'm just saying that because most of them, they have blood pressure, you don't get symptoms. So if you can get one there, maybe a group of people will share, so you can invest into that. For each blood pressure recording, you have 2 consecutive readings taken at least 1 minute apart, and the person is seated, and then you record it twice daily, ideally in the morning and evening. And you continue this for at least 4 days, ideally for 7 days. So then you can get the average during that period. So not just one reading, but an average over a period. Hypertension in children, I mentioned, children are less at risk. It's more common in older adults, hypertension, but can affect children. And the normal blood pressure for a child is dependent on the child's age, the gender, and height. And your doctor can tell if your child's blood pressure is abnormal. And children are at higher risk for hypertension if they are overweight. African American, I've already mentioned to you the studies in America, they show that the African Americans, or they have a family history of the condition. So these are things that one. Now, lifestyle advice. We have something in public health, we say prevention is better than cure. I'll say that this is the most important slide. If you forget everything that I've said today, this slide is good to remember because these are within our control. Reduce and stop. No alcohol consumption. That is, if you haven't started, don't start. Moderate, in consumption of coffee and other caffeine-rich products. Say moderate. That if you have already, as I mentioned, there are some people who are able to tolerate it, but know what you're able to tolerate. Reducing salt consumption or using a salt substitute. So reducing salt consumption, you can do it by, as a various our sisters and our mothers, they know how they can reduce the salted fish, the salt content in it, before they start the meal. Stop smoking. Smoking is not reduced. Stop smoking. It used to be the NHS, they said smoking cessation, but now they've changed the logo to stop smoking, because they find cessation, reducing it to a few number from 40 to 30 or to 20 is not going to help. So stop. And there are ways one can be helped to stop that. About local initiatives, there are also local initiatives to provide support and promote lifestyle change. Exercise helps. Physical activity programs are there. Some go to the gym, some go to swimming, some weight loss programs. After them, there are many. So see the one which fits into your own lifestyle. And dietary advice. I've mentioned the diet, some of them advice. So if you are able to deal with these ones, then you have reduced the risk. And these are things you can do. So that's the take-home message for that. Now, for treatment, if one has not been able to stop it and it's already there, then there's a diet, what we call a DASH diet. Is dietary approaches to stop hypertension. And basically, is a diet that I mentioned, that's eating more vegetables and fruits, whole grains, low-fat dairy products, poultry, nuts, and fish. These are good. Red meat and saturated fat and sweets should be avoided, if possible. But sometimes you can't avoid it. Certain parties and the rest, once in a while, you spoil yourself, isn't it? Yeah, the kebab and once in a while. But it's not. If you can vary your diet. It's good. It can also help to reduce your intake of sodium. This diet that I mentioned, if you have that combination, there's less sodium in it, so less risk of treatment. Continuous exercise is another lifestyle which I've mentioned to lower. It's recommended that adults get about 150 minutes per week of moderate exercise. This includes activities like walking. How many walk to this place? Well, even if you are driving, you walk, isn't it? You got down from your car. So I was thinking all of us will raise our hands. Anyway, walking is good. Bicycling, or that's American, or cycling, actually. Gardening, or other aerobic activities, things that will help you to sweat. Muscle strengthening activities are recommended at least twice a week for those who can. There are various things you can do indoors and the rest. So see which ones. The next one, I will not concentrate too much on that. It's about the technical parts, those who are actually treating, doctors and the rest. For us, is to prevent and to check on those diets, which is important. So I just put it there. For those is aged under 55 with hypertension, there's a flow chart, what they need to do. The GP knows what to do. And those who are above 65 or black person of African or Caribbean family origin of any age with hypertension, the step that they will need to take in terms of treatment, which medications are good for this group of people and which is for that. So they are available. There are treatments with diuretic. It helps if diet and exercise are not sufficient to lower blood pressure. The first medications recommended are what are called the diuretics or water pills. They make you pass a lot of water and make you drink also. This reduces sodium and fluid levels in the body to lower the blood pressure. And you tend to urinate more when you are taking these. But these ones are prescribed, so the doctor knows what to do. There are side effects which is mentioned. Okay. There are other drugs. I don't want to. Just mention them, and then we'll go over beta blockers. Because I made this slide for general, so that the audience, I don't know who will be coming. Some people want more, others want just a bit, others want in between. So I made it just so that everyone has something to take home. I remember once somebody was invited to give a talk, and then he wrote his introduction, what he was going to present. That was a training session. And then later on, the organizer replied that the trainees think that this one is too low, is too much below, it's too basic for them. So they didn't invite him to give the talk. But he knew a lot he could have put in, but he thought, let me just give basic. And he wasn't invited. I'm not saying that's why I put it this way. But I just made it so that everybody has a share. Yeah. Sometimes children are bored in class and they are said to be misbehaving. It's because what the teacher is teaching is below their level. So you find them fidgeting around. It's not because they are a nuisance. It's just because in that lesson, they have already gone beyond, their level is above that. So so sometimes talks like this in front of people, they just walk out, not because they don't like you, the speaker. Just bear with them. They have already had enough of that. They are okay, and so that's why. So I've mentioned calcium channel blockers and the rest. It's not for me to block, but living with blood pressure. Let's get to that one. Okay. Next one. Living with, yes. Well, hypertension often lasts a lifetime, so following a careful management plan is essential. And keeping your blood pressure under control can lower your risk of heart disease, as I mentioned, stroke, and kidney failure, and can improve your quality of life. So it's worth knowing what your blood pressure is. And ministry and health. This is where I'll be switching on and putting on my vocational cap. Mm-hmm. I told you when I started, those who were here, that I have a vocation. What is my vocation?
Christian.
I'm a Christian. And what's my profession?
Doctor.
Yes. So I've dealt with my doctor part. I'm moving to my vocation. Will you allow me to move into my vocation?
Sir.
Just briefly, all right?
Okay.
Ministry and health. I'll just go through this just to... whatever conditions you have heard or you'll be hearing about health, knows that God loves to heal His children. Amen. He doesn't bring diseases on you to make Him feel happy. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. That's what Proverbs 17:22 says. I'm not preaching, I'll preach tomorrow, so I'm not going to read all the scriptures. So I'll just quickly go through here. And I'll make the outline available to my brother, to Reverend Robert to be able to give to those who want this.
Thank you.
And God loves to heal His children. It's all in the Word of God. These are scriptures you can hold on to and claim your healing. That God loves you. It may not take place now. It may be 10%, it may be 15%, it may be 20%, it may be 100%, it may be instantaneous. But God loves to heal His children. Amen. And 3 John 1, to which I read at the beginning, says, I know that you are spiritually well. I pray that you are doing well in every other way and that you are healthy. That you are healthy. So some of us, sometimes we get this thing, even food as we are eating, the type of food is health, isn't it? Yes. It's not only medicine. St. Luke, do you know his profession? Who wrote the gospel according to Luke? He's a physician. Clap for yourself. Yes. So that gives me my motivation that I'm in the right profession, because one of the apostles was a doctor. You see, so you could record very well. If you read Acts, at the man at the beautiful gate, you find the way he described the anatomy of the man's body. He said his bones and his what? The joints of became well, and then walking and leaping. You see, he described a walk and he described leaping. This must either be somebody who knows about I think physiotherapy or something. He not say, oh, the person just moved. He said no, his bones and so you know that he knew what he was talking about. Amen. Psalm 42:11 says, why are you discouraged, oh my soul? Why are you so restless? Put your hope in who? In God, because I will still praise him. He is my Savior and my God. So you make these declarations to yourself. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. And once you are walking in the will of God, you hold God to the legal text. You bring the legal argument before God that this is your word, Psalm 91. That your word says, when I call on you, you will answer me. And you will be with me in this trouble. And mention that trouble. And you will rescue me and you will honor me. You will not dishonor me. And with long life. So this thing is not my portion. And you show me your salvation. And God will be bound by his word. And Jeremiah also says, for I will restore health to you. And your wounds I will heal. Declares the Lord. Because they have called you an outcast. I have known people who have been told that they have 3 weeks to live. That's in the medical profession. 12 years on, the people are still around. So if those people had ended their lives because of that false proclamation, they wouldn't be alive even to see the wrong thing. So this thing about people trying to euthanasia, killing them, that's another topic anyway. That people should be allowed to go to Switzerland to end their lives. And that is not for a Christian. And I'm saying it with conviction. That as a Christian, there's no reason you should take your own life. Because why do you want to hasten your going to heaven by breaking God's law? And what if it's going to stop you? You may be saved, but you may not get your rewards. Alright? So Matthew also says that evening they brought to him what? Many who were possessed by demons, and he cast out the spirits. We'll talk about spiritual warfare tomorrow. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet Isaiah. He took our illness and bore our diseases, including hypertension. Isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I heard one person saying yes. God bless you. Mark says, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Amen? Amen. So, whatever you ask. So I'll say thank you at this. The last one says thank you. So I'll end here and ask if there are questions and there are contributions. Thank you very much.